There is an invisible moment in every interaction between a man and a woman when everything has already been decided, even if no word has been spoken. In this silent space, desire is either born or killed before logic ever steps in. It is not in the compliment. It is not in the long message. It is not in explaining who you are or proving your worth. It exists in the pause between actions, in eye contact, timing, and how calmly you inhabit your body. Most men lose the game here because they believe seduction is about words. In reality, it is perception. What matters is not what you say, but what is felt before anything is said at all. Robert Greene explains this clearly. The true seducer does not convince, he leads. He controls emotional rhythm instead of forcing outcomes, guiding feelings without pressure or explanation. Once you understand this, everything shifts. Desire is not requested or created by louder speech. It appears when a woman feels you command your emotions while she is still trying to read hers. That state is never accidental, it is trained. It is built through internal discipline, not external performance. And most men were conditioned to do the opposite. The modern man reacts too much, explains too much, anticipates too much. When tension appears, he relieves it. When distance appears, he fills it. When tested, he justifies himself. He believes he is being kind, understanding, evolved. But what the female mind detects is not kindness. It is instability, not care, but neediness. Women do not respond to what you say, feel, or think. They respond to what your behavior reveals without asking permission to be interpreted. The female brain is highly sensitive to nonverbal signals of safety, direction, and self-control. Before attraction becomes conscious, her body has already evaluated yours. Your emotional posture reveals whether you are predictable, whether you seek validation, whether you collapse under pressure. These signals speak louder than words ever could. When a man needs to be understood, accepted, or confirmed, he communicates something fatal: lack of center, lack of access, lack of internal power. No woman desires to become the emotional pillar of a man who has not yet learned to sustain himself. Desire does not grow in instability. This is not a lesson about lines, tricks, or performance. It is about silent attitudes that shape female perception before touch, before the kiss, before conscious choice. Attitudes grounded in real psychology. Attitudes that invert the dynamic without effort, without confrontation, without explanation. When a man masters them, selection replaces competition. When a man masters these attitudes, something permanent shifts. He stops chasing attention and starts being selected. Desire no longer feels like something to pursue, but something that moves toward him. He does not ask for desire. He becomes the point around which it gravitates. This change is silent, but its effects are unmistakable in how women respond. To be clear, this is not about manipulation or artificial personas. It is about internal control, presence, and strategic silence. It is about understanding emotional dynamics so you never again act from approval seeking. When you learn to regulate your emotional rhythm, the environment reacts differently. Reactions change, women change, not because they evolved, but because you exited the common space of men who talk too much. Now begins the first attitude, emotional control that disarms a woman. Few men realize the first test rarely appears as rejection. It comes disguised as provocation, distance, irony, or sudden mood shifts. And it is exactly here that most men fail. Not because they say the wrong thing, but because they react. The body tightens, the mind races. The urge to explain takes control. The man believes he is resolving tension. In reality, he is revealing what the woman observes most carefully in silence: his emotional stability under pressure. The female mind does not test to hurt, it tests to measure. It measures whether you remain whole when the ground becomes unstable and something slips out of control. When a man reacts with anxiety, irritation, or long justifications, he reveals dependence. His internal state is tied to her behavior, and emotional dependence is the opposite of dominance. A 2018 study from the University of California showed emotionally stable people are perceived as more attractive and socially dominant, because they are predictable to themselves. They are not cold, they are internally consistent. This makes them safe to others and difficult to control emotionally, which completely changes the dynamic. Here a common confusion appears. Many men believe emotional control means indifference or emotional shutdown. It does not. Emotional control is the absence of automatic reaction. It is the ability to not leak energy every time someone presses an emotional button. Zero emotional predictability does not mean no emotion. It means emotion without loss of center, feeling without collapse. A woman does not feel safe when you withdraw. She feels safe when nothing external can pull you out of your axis. Authors like Mark Manson explain that these tests act as unconscious filters. Small tensions are created to observe whether a man collapses internally or remains whole. The man who over-explains, apologizes for emotions he did not cause, or tries to please during conflict, communicates something dangerous without words. Fear of loss. Where there is fear of loss, there is no emotional leadership. What looks like kindness becomes submission, and submission dissolves attraction. The application of emotional control begins far from women. It begins in daily self-restraint long before any interaction ever happens. Minimal responses when emotion rises, conscious pauses before reacting, silence when the impulse is to justify yourself. Not as a game but as discipline. This practice allows emotion to pass without commanding behavior. You stop acting from anxiety and start responding from clarity. In intense interactions, the controlled man does not try to win the conversation. He sustains his own rhythm. He does not explain himself. He does not defend himself. He does not anticipate. He observes, breathes, and responds only when calm returns. When you act this way, tension shifts sides. The woman feels she cannot easily move you emotionally. That feeling, even if unnamed, is interpreted as strength. Not arrogance, not aggression. Solid emotional presence. The man who controls himself communicates without words that he can also lead the environment. To the female mind, this is not just attractive, it is disarming. Now comes the second attitude, self-sufficiency that activates the instinct of loss. There is a signal no woman ignores, even when she rationalizes otherwise. The sense that a man's life continues with or without her. This is not indifference or contempt. It is internal density, a life already moving forward. Most men fail here because they believe showing interest means reorganizing everything around a woman. Schedule, energy, mood, priorities slowly begin to orbit her. Without realizing it, he communicates that her presence is the gravitational center of his life. And when that happens, desire begins to fade before it fully forms. The silent mistake is placing a woman at the center of your emotional structure. Canceling commitments, responding instantly, adapting plans to avoid losing approval. The man believes he is demonstrating value, but what the female mind perceives is the opposite, lack of personal direction. It arises when your time already has an owner, and that owner is your purpose. Evolutionary psychology explains this clearly. Women are drawn to men who demonstrate stable internal resources, clear direction, and emotional autonomy. Research by David Buss at the University of Texas confirms this. Desire is not only about status or money, but about not losing yourself when something enters or leaves your life. A man who adds rather than replaces, who integrates without depending, who does not collapse when dynamics change. Here comes the expectation break few men accept. The less you need, the more valuable you become. Neediness creates predictability. Predictability kills tension, and without tension, desire cannot survive. A 2017 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology linked male independence to higher female desire. Independence triggers an unconscious sense of possible loss, and the brain responds to potential loss with heightened attention. This does not mean playing games or faking disinterest. It means living a life that is not on hold for messages or validation. The discipline is simple but demanding. Never reorganize your emotional agenda to fit insecurity. Never abandon routines, commitments, or internal stability to appear available. Let behavior speak. The self-sufficient man does not announce that he is busy. He simply is. He does not explain priorities. He lives them. This creates a silent asymmetry. While many men orbit, he remains at the center of his own world. This posture activates something deep in the female mind. The sense that this man is not guaranteed, not bought, not delivered. Where there is the possibility of loss, attention appears. And where attention appears, desire finds room to grow. Now comes the third attitude, physical presence that communicates dominance without words. Before conversation begins, the body has already spoken. Before intention is interpreted, posture has delivered the answer. Most men ignore this because they believe attraction is verbal. In reality, it is spatial. How you enter a room, sit, move, and hold yourself communicates more than any sentence ever could. Closed shoulders, rushed movements, nervous adjustments, searching eyes. These signals broadcast anxiety even when words sound confident. The silent era is reactive body language, adapting instead of anchoring, shrinking while trying to take space with words. The female mind reads these signals instantly. There is no neutral body language. You either transmit presence or submission disguised as politeness. Neuroscience confirms this. Studies by Amy Cuddy showed that expansive, stable posture changes both perception and internal state. The body informs the mind informs behavior. When posture stabilizes, presence follows. A man who occupies space calmly signals safety without explanation, and safety is a deep trigger of desire. Here is the expectation break that confuses many men. Attraction happens before logic. The body responds first, the explanation comes later. A calm, grounded man in a social environment draws attention not because he seeks it, but because he does not need it. He does not compete for focus. He sustains presence. While others overmove to prove value, he moves little because he is already centered. Contrast creates magnetism. Stillness becomes signal. The application is simple but demanding. Bodily awareness to open posture, feet grounded, economical movement. Steady eye contact, no nervous laughter. No constant adjustments. No searching for validation in reactions. When you slow the body, the environment slows with you. When you occupy space without permission, dynamics shift. The woman feels she is facing someone who does not adapt to belong. This presence is not learned from speeches. It is trained through silence, repetition, and discipline. When it installs, you stop being another stimulus and become a reference point. Her body registers it before her mind. Stability, control, non-neediness. This perception outweighs any verbal attempt at seduction. Now comes the fourth attitude, strategic silence that creates fantasy. There is a moment where speaking no longer brings closeness and begins to dissolve desire. Most men cross this line driven by anxiety to appear interesting or different. To reduce discomfort, he fills every pause with stories, explanations, and details no one asked for. He believes he is connecting, but he is killing curiosity. Excess information destroys tension, and without tension, fantasy cannot exist. The mistake is confusing presence with verbosity. Insecure men talk to calm themselves. Centered men use silence to observe. The female mind struggles with emotional gaps. When you leave space, her imagination fills it for you. Psychology explains this through projection. Carl Jung described how the mind assigns meaning to incomplete stimuli. What is vague becomes fertile. What is fully revealed becomes static. When a man becomes an open book, imagination dies. When he preserves parts by choice, fantasy activates. This is not performance or games. Mystery is economy of information. A confident man does not narrate his life in real time. He allows pauses. He lets silence breathe. He does not rush to fill silence because he is not threatened by it. Research from the University of Amsterdam showed cognitive gaps increase curiosity and obsession. When you answer simply and leave meanings open, her attention deepens. The unsaid gains more weight than rehearsed words. Applying this requires discipline. Short answers when you want to elaborate. stories left unfinished, pauses that only unsettle those uncomfortable with themselves. The man who masters strategic silence does not try to impress. He allows curiosity to mature at its own pace. While others work to maintain attention, he becomes the source of internal questions. The conversation shifts. He stops being the entertainer and becomes the enigma, not through artifice but emotional maturity. She feels she has not fully deciphered him yet, and while that remains true, desire does not settle. It grows. What is not fully accessible gains value. The man who understands this leaves marks in what he chooses not to say. Now comes the fifth attitude, implicit sexual leadership. At a certain point, desire demands direction. Not words, not negotiation. Direction. Many men fail here by confusing respect with hesitation. They wait for excessive signals, seek validation, and ask permission with their eyes instead of leading with presence. The intention exists, but the energy does not follow. When leadership hesitates, attraction retreats. Not from morality, but from lack of instinctive safety. The mistake is asking for emotional permission to advance. This is not about consent, which is absolute. It is about internal posture before movement. The man who leads does not ask the environment if he may act. He checks alignment within himself and moves with clarity. When he seeks emotional approval before each step, he signals uncertainty in his own perception of the moment. The female mind reads this as lack of direction, and without direction, surrender cannot occur. Behavioral science explains this clearly. Sexual polarity emerges from calm leadership, not aggression or passivity. Leadership here is not imposing, it is sustaining, feeling the rhythm and guiding it naturally. When leadership is serene, her body relaxes. When the body relaxes, desire finds space. Here is the expectation break. Women desire men who lead without haste and without brutality. Clear decisions create emotional safety by removing chaos. An indecisive man creates noise. An aggressive man creates threat. The man who leads calmly creates surrender. This surrender is not intellectual. It is bodily. Application lies in leading rhythm, space, and transition. Choosing places naturally, moving first without announcing, approaching when the moment calls without theatrics or approval seeking, reading her body carefully and adjusting without retreating from fear. When you lead this way, leadership does not need explanation. It is felt, and what is felt rarely meets resistance. It meets response. The man who develops implicit leadership stops being reactive and becomes the axis of the experience. He does not rush to prove himself, nor does he slow down from insecurity. He moves at the right time, and timing communicates confidence. That difference is not appearance, money, or words. It is internal position. It is the axis from which a man moves in the world without asking emotional permission to exist. Female desire does not respond to performance, but to silent strength. Presence felt in the body before it is understood by the mind. Nietzsche called this self-mastery, not domination, but command over one's own reactions. Self-mastery is rare because it requires restraint when ego demands expression. Most men reveal too much too soon, mistaking exposure for honesty. But mystery is not deception, it is pacing. What unfolds slowly allows emotion to anchor. The man who rushes seeks relief. The man who waits creates gravity. Gravity is felt, not explained. It pulls attention inward. This is why silence unsettles the unprepared mind. In silence, projection begins. Curiosity fills the gap. And whatever the mind fills in feels self-generated, therefore stronger. This is psychological ownership of desire. She believes she arrived there herself, not persuaded. Not convinced, drawn. The man did not push, he positioned. This is the core principle Machiavelli understood. Control is most effective when it feels like freedom. When freedom is felt, resistance disappears. The mind no longer guards itself against influence. This is why overt persuasion fails, where subtle positioning succeeds. The woman does not feel guided, she feels safe to move. And safety allows desire to surface without conflict. Men who attempt control through pressure activate defense. Men who control themselves dissolve it. This distinction separates manipulation from mastery. One seeks power over others, the other commands inner stability. Inner stability creates emotional gravity, and emotional gravity invites orbit. People move toward what feels grounded. This applies beyond attraction. It governs respect, loyalty, and influence. The man who cannot be shaken becomes a reference point. Others adjust around him unconsciously. He does not dominate the room. The room aligns to him. This alignment happens quietly. No announcement, no demand, just presence that stabilizes the space. People sense when someone is not seeking approval. That absence is powerful. Approval seeking leaks need, and need weakens authority. The grounded man does not chase reactions. He allows them to come. This patience signals abundance, not scarcity. Abundance is felt as choice, not desperation. When a man knows he can walk away, every step forward carries weight. His attention becomes valuable because it is not guaranteed. Scarcity of access creates respect before attraction even forms. This is why detachment is misunderstood. Detachment is not coldness, it is self-containment. Warmth without need creates trust. Interest without dependence creates intrigue. Together they form quiet dominance. Not dominance over others, but over one's impulses. Impulse control is invisible, but its effects are not. A man who governs his reactions governs the tone of every interaction. He does not escalate emotionally when challenged, nor does he collapse when ignored. This emotional neutrality creates leverage without force. Others mirror his state unconsciously. Calm becomes contagious. In tense moments, the calmest person holds authority. This is not charisma, it is regulation. Most men outsource regulation to others' behavior. Their mood rises or falls based on external validation. The self-mastered man remains steady. Steadiness communicates reliability. Reliability builds trust faster than charm, and trust is the foundation of influence. Influence without trust collapses under pressure. This is why flashy dominance fades quickly. It impresses briefly, then triggers resistance. True influence survives conflict. It does not need constant reinforcement because it is rooted in consistency. Consistency makes behavior predictable. Predictability creates safety. Safety allows people to lower defenses. When defenses drop, connection deepens. This applies to attraction, leadership, and loyalty alike. The man who is consistent becomes legible. Others know where he stands. There is no anxiety around his presence. And where anxiety disappears, desire can breathe. Desire cannot grow in an environment of uncertainty. The nervous system needs coherence, not surprise. This is why unpredictability is often mistaken for excitement. True excitement comes from depth, not chaos. Chaos stimulates adrenaline. Depth stimulates attachment. Attachment forms when experiences feel safe to repeat. The man who offers emotional coherence becomes repeatable. Repeatable presence builds bonding. Bonding increases emotional investment. Investment strengthens desire over time. This is attraction that matures instead of burns out. It does not spike and crash. It compounds. Compounding attraction creates loyalty, and loyalty transforms desire into devotion. Devotion is not demanded. It emerges naturally from repeated emotional safety. Safety does not mean predictability in action, but predictability in intent. She knows his direction, even when the path changes. This consistency of intent allows trust to deepen. Trust allows vulnerability. Vulnerability unlocks intimacy. Intimacy anchors desire beyond novelty. Novelty excites briefly. Intimacy endures. This is why men who chase excitement lose depth. They stimulate the surface, not the core. The core responds to safety, presence, and direction. Direction does not restrict, it relieves. Relief allows surrender. Surrender deepens bonding. Bonding stabilizes connection. Stable connection is rare because few men can sustain direction without control. Control suffocates. Direction liberates. The difference is intention. One seeks ownership, the other offers structure. Structure supports freedom rather than limiting it. When structure exists, anxiety fades. With less anxiety, emotional energy turns toward desire. This is the quiet power of masculine containment. Not force, not pressure. Containment, containing chaos, so attraction can grow. Most men add chaos unknowingly, through inconsistency, emotional swings, and unclear intent. The contained man subtracts chaos. He simplifies the emotional field, and simplicity invites depth. Depth is where attraction stops being performative and becomes personal. At this stage, words matter less than consistency of behavior. She watches patterns, not promises. Patterns reveal truth faster than declarations. A man's real value is measured in repetition. Can he remain steady when bored, challenged, or misunderstood? Most cannot. They collapse into reactivity or withdrawal. The grounded man remains present. Presence during discomfort creates emotional imprinting. Imprinting makes the connection feel irreplaceable. Not because of intensity, but because of reliability. Reliability becomes rare in a chaotic world. What is rare gains value, and what gains value is protected. Protection does not come from jealousy. It comes from recognition of worth. People guard what feels stable and meaningful. This is how attachment becomes intentional, not clinging, choosing. Choice strengthens commitment. Commitment deepens emotional investment. Investment reshapes priorities. At this stage, attraction is no longer fragile. It does not need constant stimulation to survive. It is sustained by shared emotional ground. The man who creates this does not compete. He becomes the standard. Others are compared to him unconsciously. This is influence that outlives novelty, and this is the quiet endgame of masculine presence.